So I just want to talk about adapting an existing structure, which is quite interesting, and I wanted to make it do a little bit more work. So this is the four gusseted packages. I think a lot of us have seen these. It's quite nice when you pull off the lid, it kind of blossoms and pops open and then shows the contents. So I want to adapt this type of structure, the four gusseted corners, but I also want to make it have some structural integrity on the inside to support a bottle. So I want to adapt this. So this is just an example of taking something that exists that I really like and making it do something else with it. So I'm going to show that in the 3D program. So these were just other examples of this gusseted type package. This one has a separate little part at the bottom, which supports this internal part. But again, it's just the four gussets. And when they go inside, they actually fold off to the side. They don't really support anything. So that's the change I want to make. I'm going to show how I'm going to go about doing that. So these are all very similar. So it's quite nice. You can print on the inside and it has a really nice unboxing experience. So I'm going to go new share. Okay, so in the 3D program, this is the bottle that I had sent to everybody. So I have it built here. So I'm going to build this structure around this bottle. I'm going to use this as my product. So this whole process is I'm going to uncover what's going on in that gusseted corner, and I want to adapt it to create some internal structure. So this is a one way of working. So I'm going to start off by just trying to understand what I know. That's a good way to start doing this. I want to uncover what that little triangular section will be in the corner to do what I want to do. So let's start with what I want. So I'm going to start with a square base. So I'm going to use my square tool as a surface. And I'm going to pick a 4x4 because if I look at my squares here, the 4x4 will contain the bottle, the footprint of the bottle. So it's like my first decision. It's not a hard one, but it's a start. Oops, didn't grab the center. So I want the bottle to be in from the wall a little bit in case it gets hit. And I want to use that gusseted corner to keep this in the center. So I'm going to start with this square here for my base. Now, the next decision I'm going to make is how high is this panel going to be? So I'm just arbitrarily picking from the bottom of the bottle up to this shoulder. I think it's about 8 inches. Yeah, so that's just about 8 inches. So I could do any dimension I want to work into this, but I'm just going to pick that 8 inches and then have my closure cover on the top cover the rest of the bottle. So let's say I'm going to work with that. So to determine that dimension, I'm going to come off of that square. I'm going to use my line tool, not the vector line tool because that goes continuous. So here I could just snap on here. I have all my snapping tools on. So I'm going to go to 8 inches and just apply that and select. And now I have my 8 inches. So my tools are falling off the screen here. So let's just move this up. There we go. Yeah, so down here at the bottom, I have all my snap tools on, and I have my this square with the dotted line in the middle, the plus sign in the middle. That's my snap tool for vertical and horizontal. So I have that on, so that went right into position. So to kind of outline my little corner here, where the gusset material is, I'm going to no, I wanted to do copy. All right, so this quadrant over here, I'm working in the blank mode. So I got my square center, and now these two lines are defining where the gusseted material is. So I know that it has to fold flat and come out of this material, but I want to uncover what it looks like when I fold it up and how it's going to create support. So this is the challenge to do this. So I'm trying to figure out, what do I know? So I do know that I have this entire panel here. It's now going to be 4 inches wide by 8 inches high. And I'm thinking I need to turn all of this into 3 panels. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. So I did start a sketch. That sort of tried to start to uncover. So this is my sketch of what I think I want to do. So over on the left-hand side, I know I want to set up the box at the bottom, and I'm going to have a slip cover sleeve that's going to complete that. That's actually relatively easy. So from the top view here, I have the square. I'm thinking if I fold in these three panels and I create that diagonal that I've drawn here around that circle, which represents the bottle, that perhaps I could create some structure to keep that bottle nice and centered and secure in this box by using the gussets just by closing this box. So that's the goal. And what I need to know is, what do these three triangles in the corner look like, and what are the dimensions? So that's this corner over here. So let's start with that little diagonal that I had in my sketch, and let's see how that's going to work for us. So I'm going to snap. I'm having snap to center line here, so it's snapping to the center there, and it's snapping to the center there. Okay, so that's that piece of geometry. So it's coming across the bottle. It's intruding on the bottle slightly, but that could be modified later if I cut a curve or a notch, or even let that flex a little bit to trap the bottle. Not sure how that'll work at this point. So there's the start of that. Now, if I want to put that over in this quadrant and keep it on the center, let me bring down another line here and rotate that. So I'm going to rotate at the 45 degrees, which is actually how the traditional gusset works. Again, I need to do the copy. So I'm going to bring back up that copy. All right, so now that's a normal gusset. So if I were to fold this up and fold along that line, a normal gusset would come up. But it's not really going to do any work for me other than make a strong corner. So what else do I know? What I'm trying to determine is, if I fold some of the material over here and bring it into the center of my main panel, which is 4 inches wide, and I do that on all the panels that are adjacent to the gusset, then maybe that can help me determine how big that's going to be. So let's see. I'm going to move this over to the center. I'm going to move a copy. So that is the center line of that panel. And I'm going to mirror that over to make sure I maintain that exact dimension. So if I mirror, I'm going to mirror from here. So if I mirror that over, this is a cut line I could create from this gusseted area in the material. And when I fold it over, it'll come to the center of the main panel. So that might do something for me. So let's see how this works. So let's say I start with that, and I take my little diagonal here that I want, and I put that over into this material in the corner. Let's see what starts to happen. I'm snapping to the middle of that, and I'm going to snap to this diagonal and keep that on center. And that might determine exactly where that center triangle is going to be. So I'm just going to move it over close to that center point to help determine what that triangle may be. So this looks like it's starting to make sense, and I'm seeing a pattern here. Since I have such perfectly even dimensions, I got a 4x4 footprint, and I have a 4x8 inch front panel. It looks like all I have to do is stay on center and put this 45 diagonal there, and I'll probably be able to get this to work, and that'll be like the solution. So let's just draw a line here on center like this and see if that's it. So it's really close. It's slightly off. So I bet you if I snap to that, it's probably exactly where it needs to be. Now it's starting to become very obvious. I didn't see it until I started doing this build. So let's move that, and I'm going to snap that right to that intersection and see how all this starts to work. So it looks like, yeah, that's perfect. It's down there. All right, so there's the solution. So what that's going to allow me to do, it's going to allow me, so now all I have to do is connect the points. So if I draw a line from here to here, and then I draw another one here, oops. Let's draw from here. That is the dimension of that corner panel. So that combined with whatever I do with this panel, and I fold them up, should give you my structure. So let's eliminate some of these. I really don't need any of these lines, actually. That represents my center point. So that is the magical triangle that I did not know how big it would be. So I'm thinking if I fold that up, this should work. Interesting. All right, so let's complete the die line and see how it looks. So I'm going to take that and mirror that over. So since this is such a symmetrical part, it should be pretty easy to derive the rest of this die line. So I'm going to, again, I want to copy. I'm going to derive that over to this side. Okay, so I have my 8 inches. I have this point that I know, which is going to be the fold line. So the other thing I have to determine now is what's the rest of this panel going to look like here. All of these cuts here will probably not be functional, just as long as I stay within my center line so it can fold into the center and it won't get in the way of each other. I could probably cut whatever I want. I could do straight lines. I could do lines with radiuses. I could do zigzag, curvy cuts, make this even more theatrical. So I'm going to do a pretty straightforward, a little more obvious type of solution for that. If I can find my circle tool, I'm going to see what happens if I just draw a curve. So let's start here. I'm doing the 3-point curve. And I go here. And then let's just snap right to that center. So I could finish this off with this nice curve. I kind of like that. It's pretty straightforward. And as a blank, it's going to look great. It'll have this kind of flowery, kind of clover looking thing. So again, all these edges are what I call, free edges. We can cut them. They can be informed by graphics or any kind of aesthetic that we want to do. So let's stay with that and we'll see. I'm going to develop this die line. Come on, you. And we'll print it out and we'll check the functionality and see how the aesthetics work. So like I've always said, it's a combination of the functionality and the aesthetics together. We want this to look really nice, have an excellent unboxing experience, but it also functionally has to work really well. So I can get rid of this. So that is the whole idea right there. Okay, so let's just rotate that around. Nope, I kind of doubled up in the corner here. I think I doubled up in every corner. But that's okay. So I think that is a die line that can be tested. So I don't really need to do anything right now. I just would need to set this up and print it out and then cut it out and then see if these 3 panels in the corner do what we want to do. So we do know that this triangle is going to come up really tight up against the bottle. It's just how tight. And I might need to modify this little edge here. Let's take a look at this in an assembled orientation. So let's get this on the right layer. So let's base die line. And I'm going to remove the bottle for now. No, because everything is on that layer. So I need to move all of this. I'm going to deselect the bottle if I can. And let's just I'm going to take all of that and put it on another layer. Again, keeping these on separate layers so you can evolve this is a good idea. So I have that corrugated base die line. So I'm going to eliminate the bottle. So here we have it. So now I want to turn this. These are all lines. So I'm going to put on my grayscale. And the only thing that's a real surface here right now is the square bottom. The rest of it is just open lines. There's no other surfaces. But for testing the die line, that's perfectly fine. So what I want to do is take these and move them to another layer and kind of build up the 3D part. So I'm going to turn these into surfaces. So what do I really need? All I need, I believe, will be these 3 surfaces. I'm going to need the arc. Okay, so let's just take that because everything is so symmetrical. So I'm going to take this from the die line. Now, what I could do here is stop working in the 3D and just print that and see if it works. And I'll probably learn a lot. But I'm just going to keep moving in the 3D program to make a few more decisions that might lead me to believe that it does work or it doesn't work. So move one copy, change that layer. Let's move it to corrugated 3D. I think that's where I want to go. Okay, so I didn't bring my floor over. Should have brought that over. That's the only surface I do have here, so I do need that. So let's move one copy. Change layer. No. 3D, change layer to here. And then that's okay, so here we go. So let's create these arcs. So I have the full arc, which represented that edge. I need to separate this into these smaller components because they are separate panels. So I need to draw this arc here. That's part of that one corner panel. And then I need the arc across the top here, which is going to be the top edge of that front face. So let's just snap that into position. And then I'm going to delete that. Okay, so now I can build these panels. These, what do we have? 4 panels are going to be the essence of this whole thing. So I don't even need that anymore. So what I want to do is join these together and turn these into surfaces. So let's do that with the grayscale on, so we can see this happen in real time. So under the line tools, if you go to join, I can take these segments and it's not showing up. So let me do it here. Okay, I think I have multiple lines here. When I moved it around, I scaled it. I think I had multiple lines. So let's get rid of some of these. And there we go. Okay, now it should work. So I think I joined those 2 together. And now if I do one more join here, we look at it in grayscale and it's not working. Let's see what we have. There we go. I'm going to unghost that. So I had lines on top of lines, so it's not functioning. And here we go. Okay, so essentially I connected those 3 lines, and now that's a surface. I want that to be a surface because I'm going to move this around in space. And I don't want it just to be a set of lines. So it's important that we keep that organized. So another way to join is I want to take this line here and I want to join it to that one. So now those 2 are joined. And instead of creating another line here, we have another tool, which is called close. So that's under this edit area right up here where it says close. So all I have to do is, since that's a straight line, I can click close and it'll complete that shape. It'll draw that straight line and turn that into a surface. So that's ready to go. Let's see what I have here. I might need to draw this line again for this other surface. So I'm going to do that right here. I'm going to snap to here and here. And let's see if I can select that by itself. No, the wireframe. Okay, so let's start with these. I'm going to join, bring in my join tool. Join this to this. And let's see if I can join that to that. So now I have those 3. Again, I can use close to finish off that bottom. So let's see if that works. Close. Back in the gray. Okay, so now these 4 panels make up this entire structure, just in multiples. So let's start to take a look at how this is going to work and fold up. So again, what do I know? Let's say I know that that is going to fold up. I'm going to bring this with it. It's a fold here, and it's going to be perpendicular 90 degrees to that floor. So what I'm going to do is look from the right side, and I'm going to fold those up. No copy. Select here, and I believe that would be 90. And I don't think I brought my panel with me. Oh, I did. Okay. So that's folded up. And what I decided to do is this panel is going to fold over to the center of this panel. If you remember, that was one of the decisions I made in attempting to do this. So I'm going to rotate that over, and that'll be 180 because I'm going to bring that all the way over to the center. Now, these are two-dimensional panels. In real life, this would be folded on the inside, and you'd only see it on the inside. But since these are two-dimensional, they exist in space on top of one another. So I'm seeing it on the outside also. But the reality is it would be just to the inside. But I just want to determine where that point's going to be. So now I've got to fold this up into the center on this diagonal. So I know I'm going to need to turn this so I can do that perpendicular to my front plane. So let's rotate this, and I believe that should be 45. Okay, so now when I look at the front plane, I can take this triangle. Now it's dead on center, and I can pivot from this point that I'm selecting right now from the front, and I can bring that forward. And I think if I snap this point over here to this point over here, it'll be in position in the folded orientation. So all I want is this panel here. And let's see how this works. I'm going to rotate from here, and I'm going to select that point there and bring it right up to this point here. And there is the corner detail. It's just one part of it, but that is what I'm trying to uncover here. So let's just see how that intrudes on the bottom or holds the bottom. And so there it is. It's up against the bottle. See, it's overlapping a little bit. So I could make some decisions about how to do that. This is a tapered bottle. Like if it was a complete cylinder straight down, this panel would intrude on the geometry of the bottle even further, which can be fine. So I can make a decision. I might want to just do like a nice curved cut on the edge of this so it just comes up and touches the bottle. Or maybe I do want it to squeeze up against the bottle. So when I close this, it presses and it holds it. Because that is the goal of this exercise. I want to create some support structure for that bottle in this decorative corner and gusset detail. So that looks pretty good. I almost want to test that without cutting the curve. So we'll see. I'm going to do another tutorial after I figure out this geometry and actually cut this out so we can see how it works. Okay, so let's move the bottle. All right, so I could determine the rest of the fold-up structure with this. So I think what I'm going to do is I might have another, let's create another layer here. Let's call it Corrugated 3D2. Let's try to figure out how to create the 3D geometry of this. Again, I'm going to leave that now and move this to another layer. So I'm going to try to unfold this and see what it looks like. So I moved to copy and brought it to this layer. So now I'm not sure how to go about this yet. Let's see. Kind of want to unfold this. Let's see. Let's start by taking this. I'm going to look while I'm set into this view. What if I just rotate this perpendicular to the floor? Now, I can't control how this is going to unfold because it's just going to sort of pop open. So let's just put that straight up and let's see what that does. So that's like partially unfolded. What else would I need to know? Okay, what if I take, okay, let's look from the top. And let's go back to the center, rotate, and I believe that'll be negative 45. Okay. Now let's go to Let's take this panel. Make sure I selected that correctly. So it's that panel. What if I, let's see what this might look like. I'm thinking of rotating it so it lines up with this corner point. So I'm just going to draw a guideline. This is just a guideline here. So what if I rotate that panel so it lines up with this point? Again, I'm just sort of experimenting. No, I can't go that way. I need it to stay on the corner. Okay, edit, rotate. I need to rotate it from the corner because that's where the fold is. So I'm going to rotate it from here, take it away from center. Okay, I'm just going to deselect my snap grid. What if I bring it and snap it to here, which is going to line up with that point there? Okay, let's see what this does. This might work. Okay, interesting. So now let's unfold these two as a group. Let's go to right side. I think this is going to work. I'm going to rotate. I'm just going to go to line for a second so I can see all the hidden objects. So I'm going to snap down here because that's where that panel is going to fold from. And I believe I'm going all the way to here. Let's see. I think that's it. Is it lining up there? Yeah, I think so. Let me just check the intersection of these panels right here. Okay, now something's slightly off. Aha. That just might be view right side. Just checking it from all my different views. Okay, here it got a little crooked. Okay, I'm just checking. Okay, hold on. Edit. Do rotate. Okay, right here, this is not lining up. Okay, that was my problem. Edit. Undo rotate. Okay, so I did not rotate this accurately. So let's go back to line and let's get a little closer. So I'm rotating that panel and I want to snap to this guideline. Let's see, rotate. So I'm going to snap to the corner. I want this to snap exactly to this guideline, right? Okay, that's what happened. Didn't lock perfectly to that. Let's double check that. Let's see if that's, it's still slightly off. So we'll just move in closer. Get that more accurate. And I could draw a circle here to get that perfect. I'm just gonna come in really close here. And there we go. Okay, so let's go back to what we were doing. It's gonna be 3060. So now I'm gonna move that panel and this front panel together from the right side. I know it's a little confusing, but this should come together in a moment. So this is part of this discovery process, just sort of hanging on to our geometry and working with that and uncovering how this is going to work. All right, interesting. So I think we can work with this to create our unfolded orientation. Again, this is a guess. I can't control exactly how this material is going to open at any given time. But this will give us a nice visual that we can use. Now, this is, I'm using this as uncovering and learning how this is going to work. This could also be used as a presentation technique. We could show other designers or people and say, you know, what do you think? Now I'm missing a panel. rotate. I need this panel on both sides here. So let's see. I'm going to mirror a copy on that pivot point to here. And then I'm going to take that, I'm going to rotate that into this position over here. Okay, so that's the complete gusseted corner. Let's take a look at that in perspective in gray. So there's the 3 panels in the corner that we know work into the blank, and when we fold them up, they're going to come up and touch the bottle. So now I'm just illustrating what this is going to look like as it's opening. So with that in mind, I can now take this geometry and rotate this around. Okay, so let's bring in the bottle that we have on another layer. I'm going to put this down here. It's going to go to fit so we can get this on center. So here it is. So let's just, I mean, one of the ways of viewing this, I could do this by hand, but we have this nice little rotation feature, which I think is really nice up here. Clicking on that, and you can rotate in either direction. That's a little fast, so we can slow that down. But there it is. So that looks quite nice. Again, this is a guess on what this would look like when it's open, but it's quite interesting. Okay, so the other part of this is to create the top that's going to hold this. So I'm anticipating that just being a sleeve. It might have some of these curve cuts. I'll probably put an insert that's integrated into the part that goes with a circle in the center. It comes down partially over the neck, and I'll use that to support the top of the bottle. So by this bottom part, with our little gussets holding the bottle, and that hole in the lid should support this very securely inside, and then we just need to be able to seal it. Okay, all right, so the next tutorial, I'm going to export the die line and cut this out, and we'll see this live and see how it works. And hopefully it's successful.